And sure, we would have agreed to fight the fines for him, but Ben told me he had heard there is also the possibility of jail time, and he doesn't want to go to the Crowbar Motel. So the protest comedy night ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. And folks, before I get to my story, if you can, please go to journalistdefensefund.com. If you're able to, make a donation. Sometimes we have lawyers' fees, sometimes we have to hire bodyguards, but it's worth it when it comes to bringing you the other side of the story. But we depend on your generous donations. Well, folks, did you hear the one about a premier that enacted heavy-handed fines and penalties for those not obeying social distancing etiquette? Well, of course, I'm talking about Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who yesterday announced that, well, maybe the party's not over, but it's going to be severely limited. In other words, gatherings right now in 3 areas of the province, Toronto, Ottawa, and Peel region, they are restricted to 10 people indoors and only 25 people outdoors. It's about preventing that much dreaded second wave of the Wuhan virus. Now, on this very spot, in about 10 minutes, there was to be a comedy show set up. It's funny man Ben Bankas, you remember him. He's been doing this in a couple of parks, Christie Pitts and then Bickford Park. He keeps getting kicked out and fined by law and law enforcement. And he settled here on the lawns of Queen's Park for the last few weeks, doing shows for an appreciative audience. And this was tonight to be a protest comedy night against those very stipulations Premier Doug Ford announced yesterday that took effect today at precisely 12:01 a.m. Well, I'll tell you, folks, Ben called me just an hour before showtime, and he texted me, and he said, look, I can't afford a $10,000 fine. That's what the organizer gets dinged with in doing an event that would exceed the number limit. And he also didn't want the audience members to get those de rigueur $880 Wuhan virus tickets either. So Ben threw in the towel. Listen, I can't say I blame him. You don't make a lot of money as a struggling stand-up comic. And sure, we would have agreed to fight the fines for him, but Ben told me he had heard there is also the possibility of jail time, and he doesn't want to go to the Crowbar Motel. So the protest comedy night ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. In fact, it ended before it began. Ben has retreated to another venue indoors where, in his words, he said it's slightly less illegal. And it's too bad. I mean, what was Ben doing that was so horrific? Getting a bunch of professional stand-up comics together and making people laugh. And boy, do we ever need a chance and an opportunity to laugh during this year, don't we, folks? And it kind of is weird too, isn't it? It's only Toronto, Ottawa, and Peel region. So in theory, Ben could go to York region, and apparently the Wuhan virus obeys the borderline of Steeles Avenue. It's not so, I guess, deadly or infecting north of Steeles, but south of Steeles, it's a different matter. So to wrap, there is no show in the park tonight. It looks like Doug Ford, if he wanted to shut down gatherings and people having fun, like the gathering Doug Ford went to for the wedding of one of his MPPs last month, that's a different standard, isn't it, folks? I think for those in charge, it's one law for thee, one law for me, because right now there is no laughter in the park. That is strictly verboten according to the new rules. And, I'm looking at the statue here of famous Canadian poet Al Purdy. I wonder what kind of poem Al Purdy would write about this situation. Can anyone give me a rhyming couplet to the phrase hickory dickory dock? For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Folks, we'd love to bring you the other side of the story, but we need your help to do it. Please, if you can, make a donation to journalistdefensefund.com.